July 18th, 2017, is a day I'll never forget. It's the day I died. I never thought I'd be sitting here, telling this story, but I can't keep it to myself anymore. What happened to me that day changed everything. I used to think faith was just something people turned to when they were scared or needed comfort. I wasn't against it, but I wasn't exactly running to church either. My mom, though, she was different. She prayed for me every single day, always saying, "Alex, one day you'll understand." I'd smile, nod, and go on with my life, never really taking her seriously. But now I understand, and I need you to understand too. Before that day, life was normal. I was a construction foreman, and I'd just gotten a promotion. Money was good, and I was proud of where I was headed. My friends and I spent most nights out, laughing, drinking, and just living in the moment. I had plans, big plans. I wanted to buy a house, maybe even start my own business someday. Faith, eternity, none of that really crossed my mind. I was too busy focusing on the here and now. My mom, though, she never stopped praying for me. Every time I'd visit, she'd say, "Alex, God has a plan for you." I'd just shrug it off. "Sure, Mom," I'd say, not really meaning it. She'd smile, but I could see the worry in her eyes. I didn't get it back then. How could I? Life was good, and I thought I had all the time in the world. But that all changed on a hot afternoon in July. I was driving home after work, tired but content. The sun was blazing, and I remember rolling down the window to let the warm air hit my face. The radio was playing some old rock song, and I was just zoning out, not really paying attention to the road. I didn't see the truck until it was too late. One moment, everything was normal. The next, there was a blinding flash of headlights, the screech of tires, and then nothing. That day, I was driving home after a long shift at work. The sun was beating down, and the heat was almost unbearable. I rolled down the window, letting the hot air rush in, and turned up the radio to drown out my tired thoughts. I wasn't paying much attention to the road, just enough to get home. Then, out of nowhere, I saw it. A truck, huge and fast, coming straight at me. I didn't even have time to react. There was a blinding flash of light, the deafening crunch of metal, and then nothing. No pain, no sound, just darkness. It was like someone had flipped a switch, and everything went black. When I opened my eyes, or at least when I became aware, I wasn't in my car anymore. I wasn't anywhere I recognized. It was just darkness, a deep, endless void that stretched in every direction. I couldn't feel my body. I couldn't move. I wasn't scared at first, just confused. Where was I? What was happening? Then I heard them, whispers. At first, they were faint, like distant echoes. But they grew louder, closer. They weren't in any language I understood, but they felt alive. It was like something was watching me, waiting for me. The more I listened, the more I realized these weren't human voices. They were something else, something I couldn't explain. Suddenly, a voice boomed through the darkness. It wasn't loud in the way you'd expect. It was powerful, like it shook the very fabric of the void around me. The whispers stopped instantly, and the darkness seemed to pull back, like it was afraid. Then, a light appeared, bright, piercing, and alive. It wasn't just light. It felt like it had a presence, like it was breathing. Out of that light, a figure stepped forward. I didn't need anyone to tell me who it was. I just knew. It was Jesus. I'd never given much thought to what he might look like, but in that moment, I understood why people fell to their knees in his presence. His eyes, they held everything: love, sorrow, justice, and mercy, all at once. He didn't speak right away. He just looked at me, and in that gaze, I felt everything. Every mistake, every regret, every moment I'd ignored him. My soul trembled under the weight of it. Then he spoke. His voice was calm but carried so much authority. "Alex," he said, "do you know why you are here?" I wanted to answer, but I couldn't find the words. My mind was racing, but my voice was stuck. Before I could even try to respond, everything around me shifted. When Jesus asked me that question, everything changed. Suddenly, my entire life played out before me. Not like a movie, but like I was living it all over again. Every moment, every choice, every word I'd ever spoken. I felt it all, the joy, the pain, the regret. I saw the times I'd turned away from God, the moments I'd ignored the quiet nudges to do the right thing. I felt the hurt I'd caused others, the people I'd led astray without even realizing it. I saw the opportunities I'd had to know Him, to truly know Him, and how I'd brushed them aside like they didn't matter. Tears streamed down my face as I relived it all. I wasn't just seeing my life, I was feeling the weight of it. And it was heavy, so heavy. Then the scene shifted. I wasn't standing before Jesus anymore. I was looking down at the world, but it wasn't the world I knew. It was chaos. Fires burning everywhere. The sky dark and heavy. People were running, screaming, but there was nowhere to go. I saw something else, though, something beneath the surface. A system, a new order, promising peace and unity. It looked good, even comforting, but I could feel the darkness behind it. Leaders stood at the forefront, their eyes hollow, their words smooth but empty. They were controlled by something evil. Then I saw people being marked. It seemed harmless at first, just a scan, a small insignia on their hands or foreheads. But the moment they accepted it, something changed. Their eyes went blank, their souls dimmed. They were no longer themselves. They belonged to something else now. I turned my gaze to the churches. The buildings were still there, but they were empty, cold. The people who once filled them were gone. Some had stopped believing altogether, but others still claimed to follow God. Their faith, though, was twisted. They believed in a version of Christianity that was comfortable, convenient, and powerless. I saw preachers who once spoke the truth now leading people astray, their messages watered down, their eyes on popularity rather than God. I saw Christians who once stood firm now mocking those who held onto the truth. It broke my heart. And then I saw the true believers, the ones who refused to compromise. They were hunted, rejected, forced into hiding. The world had turned against them, but they stood firm. They weren't afraid. They stood in the fire, and they didn't waver. Jesus stepped forward, and the vision faded. I was back in the light, standing before Him, my heart pounding in my chest. "The time is short," He said, His voice filled with urgency. "A choice is coming, and many will choose wrong." I thought of my mom, her prayers, her warnings. I thought of my friends, my co-workers, everyone I knew who was walking blindly into the darkness. "Jesus," I said, my voice trembling, "let me go back. Let me warn them." He looked at me, His eyes filled with both love and sorrow. "You will return," He said, "but many will not listen. Many will mock you, reject you, but some will hear, and for them you must speak." Before I could say another word, I felt a force pulling me backward. The light blurred, and suddenly, I was gasping for air, my body convulsing as I woke up in a hospital bed. I woke up gasping for air, my body jerking as if I'd been pulled back from somewhere far away. The beeping of machines filled my ears, and bright lights blinded me. I was in a hospital bed, tubes and wires everywhere. My chest burned, and my head felt like it was spinning. Doctors and nurses rushed around me, their voices a blur of shouts and orders. I could hear my mom sobbing beside me, her hand clutching mine. "He's alive. Oh, thank God. He's alive," she cried. I tried to speak, but my throat was dry, my voice weak. When I finally managed to get the words out, they surprised even me. "Mom, Jesus is real. He's coming soon." Her tears flowed harder, but this time, they were tears of relief. The doctors were stunned. They told me later I'd been clinically dead for 6 minutes. They couldn't explain how I was alive, let alone fully aware. But I knew. I had been given a second chance. At first, I didn't know how to tell people what had happened. How could I explain something so unbelievable? I was scared they'd think I was crazy, that they'd laugh or walk away. But I couldn't keep it to myself. I had to try. I started with my parents. My mom believed me right away. She'd been praying for me for years, and this was the answer she'd been waiting for. But my dad, he was harder to convince. He's a practical man, a skeptic. He listened, but I could see the doubt in his eyes. "Alex," he said, "you were dead. Your brain was shutting down. People see things in situations like that." I shook my head. "Dad, I know what I saw. This wasn't just a dream. Jesus showed me what's coming. People think they have time, but they don't." The first time I shared my story publicly was at my church. My mom convinced the pastor to let me speak. Standing at the front, looking out at the faces of people I'd known my whole life, I felt a knot in my stomach. Would they believe me? I took a deep breath and began. When I finished, the room was silent. Some people were crying. Others looked uncomfortable, even skeptical. But the pastor stood up and said, "If this is true, then we have no time to waste." From there, I started sharing my story wherever I could. Youth groups, Bible studies, even universities. The reactions were mixed. Some people believed me right away. Others mocked me, called me crazy. I lost friends. People I'd known for years stopped talking to me. One night, I spoke at a university group. The students were polite, but I could see the doubt in their eyes. Afterward, a young man approached me. He looked conflicted. "I want to believe you," he said. "But if what you're saying is true, then almost everything I've ever believed is a lie. That's hard to accept." I nodded. "I get it. It was hard for me too. But ask yourself this. What if it's not a lie? What if Jesus really is coming soon? What if the choice you make today decides your eternity?" He didn't say much after that, but I handed him a small Bible. "Start here," I said. "Ask God to show you the truth." I never saw him again, but I still pray for him. As I kept sharing my story, I realized something. Faith isn't just a feeling or a Sunday morning habit. It's a battle. Jesus showed me that a time of testing is coming, and those who aren't ready will fall. I saw it in my vision, people who thought they were strong in their faith, but when the deception came, they were the first to turn away. Their faith was built on comfort, not conviction. They weren't prepared to stand when things got hard. That's why I keep speaking, even when it's hard. Even when people mock me or walk away. Because faith has to be real. It has to be unshakable. And if I can help even one person prepare for what's coming, then it's worth it. Even now, I still struggle sometimes. I wonder why God chose me for this. Why did I get to come back when so many others don't? Why am I the one who has to carry this message? There are days when the weight of it feels too heavy, when I doubt myself and wonder if anyone is really listening. But then I remember the pit. I remember the faces of the lost souls, their cries echoing in the darkness, their hands reaching for a salvation they could never grasp. I remember the hollow eyes of those who had been marked, their souls dimmed, their freedom gone. And I remember Jesus' words, "Tell them, warn them, because soon the door will close." Those words keep me going. They remind me why I'm here, why I have to keep speaking, even when it's hard. If you're listening to this, I need you to understand something. This isn't just my story. This is your warning. Time is running out. A choice is coming, and you will have to decide. No one else can make this choice for you. Jesus is calling you. He's calling you to turn away from the distractions, the lies, the empty promises of this world. He's calling you to choose him, to choose life, to choose eternity. But he won't wait forever. I've seen what happens to those who wait too long. I've seen the darkness that waits for those who ignore the call. Don't let that be you. This is it. This is your moment. The door is still open, but it won't stay open forever. You have to decide. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when it's more convenient. Now, I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to tell you the truth. Jesus is real. He's coming soon. And the choice you make today will decide your eternity. So, I'm begging you, don't wait. Don't brush this off. Don't think you have more time. Answer the call. Choose Jesus before it's too late. If this video has inspired you, please hit the subscribe button and like this video so that YouTube will show this video to more audience. God bless you.